So, what if your imagination wasn't just for daydreaming? What if it was the actual, literal power that shapes your reality? Well, that's the absolutely wild premise of Neville Goddard's classic book, Awakened Imagination, and today we're going to break down its core ideas.
It's kind of funny how we talk about imagination, isn't it? One minute we praise someone as a man of imagination. We're celebrating their power, their creativity. And then the next, we dismiss an idea as pure imagination, basically saying it's a fantasy, that it's not real. So, which is it? Is it a superpower or is it just make believe?
This exact contradiction is where Neville Goddard jumps in. He asks us to think about a really profound alternative. What if imagination isn't about seeing what isn't there, but is actually the tool we use for choosing what will be? Okay, let's dive into this first huge idea, the world within. Because to really get what Goddard is talking about, we have to start where he does, by completely redefining what we even think imagination is. See, for Goddard, imagination isn't just some mental trick. He says it's the central creative power inside of us. He even equates it with the biblical idea of Christ in you, the Redeemer, the part of you that is divine, the very gateway to reality itself. I mean, that is a massive claim. And he wasn't the only one who thought this way. He was heavily influenced by the poet William Blake, who put it just like this. The eternal body of man is the imagination. That is God himself. So we're not talking about just making mental pictures here. We're talking about a divine force. And this all leads to the bedrock idea of his entire philosophy. Goddard argues that the real world you experience, it's not something that just happens to you. No, he says it's a direct projection, like a movie, of the activity happening inside your own imagination. Your inner world is always the cause. The outer world is just the effect. Okay, so if our imagination is really creating our reality, how do we actually use it on purpose? Well, that brings us to Goddard's master technique, something he called thinking from the end. And he illustrates this with this amazing personal story. Picture this. It's 1933. Neville is in New York City. He's totally broke, and he has this one single overwhelming desire to go home to Barbados for the winter. From a logical point of view, it's completely impossible. So he takes this impossible problem to his mentor, this incredible man named Abdullah, who gives him this, frankly, bizarre instruction. He says, don't just think of Barbados. You have to imagine yourself right into the state of your wish fulfilled. You have to fall asleep every night viewing the world from Barbados. So here's how the method actually breaks down. Step 1, you get crystal clear on what you want. 2, you create a short, simple scene that implies your wish is already a fact. 3, you relax your body, get into that sleepy, drowsy state. And 4, and this is the secret sauce, you have to feel yourself in that scene. You have to think from the end result, not just about it. So, what happened? Well, every single night, Neville fell asleep feeling he was already in his father's house in Barbados. And get this, within a month, a letter shows up from his brother with a steamship ticket and some spending money, sent completely out of the blue because the brothers suddenly felt the family should be together. Now that's the main technique, but Goddard doesn't stop there. He offers other really powerful tools for consciously creating your reality, specifically one for dealing with your past and another one for scripting your future. Okay, the first tool is called revision, and it's exactly what it sounds like. It's the act of mentally rewriting the day's events as you wish they had happened. For Goddard, this is the true meaning of forgiveness of sin, which he defines simply as missing the mark. And he claims doing this can literally repeal the effects of a past event. Goddard tells this incredible story to show how it works. There's an artist who badly injures her foot. That night, instead of focusing on the pain, her imagination prompts her to revise a really negative conversation she'd had earlier that day. She just replays it in her mind with a friendly, happy outcome. And the result? The next morning, the pain, the swelling, completely gone. So, just to be super clear, you've got these two powerful tools in your toolkit. Revision is for editing the past. The second tool, which he calls inner speech, is all about scripting the future. This is about taking conscious control of those silent conversations you're having with yourself all day long. And Goddard's claim here is just profound. He says your inner speech is perpetually written all around you in happenings. In other words, the world you experience is simply your internal monologue made visible. What you are consistently saying to yourself on the inside is what you will inevitably experience on the outside.
But why? Why do these techniques actually work? Well, this leads us to the foundation of Goddard's entire philosophy, and it's his most mind-bending idea of all. Creation is already finished. This right here is the ultimate secret of the book. You are not actually creating anything new from scratch. According to Goddard, every single possible reality you can even imagine, good, bad, everything in between, it already exists. They are finished, complete states of being. And once again, Goddard turns to William Blake, who had this vision of a place he called Losses Halls, where every possible human drama was already worked out. Blake called them mere possibilities until we decide to enter one. And at that moment, it becomes our overpowering reality. Here's a really simple way to think about it. Imagine reality as this massive house with an infinite number of rooms. Each room is a different state. There's a room of poverty, a room of wealth, a room of sickness, a room of health. Your imagination doesn't build the rooms, it's the master key that lets you unlock the door to any room you choose. And this wasn't just a theory for Goddard. He had this wild personal experience that cemented it for him. He describes being in an inn, and by stilling his own mind, he was able to mentally freeze time. A waitress stopped mid-stride, leaves stopped falling outside. It proved to him that reality is just a series of static states, and our attention is what brings them to life.
So the most important takeaway here is this. Your role is not to create, but to select. You choose your reality by merging your imagination with the state you want to occupy. And you do that by feeling what it would feel like to already be there, to already be in that room.
Ultimately, when you boil it all down, the message of awakened imagination is one of total empowerment and also total responsibility. It argues that you are never, ever a victim of your circumstances. You are always the author of your own story. Which leaves us with one final, very powerful question. What will you write next?